It's the last couple of days of our KVK, and it's of course really great that we are able to fight some more, right? Today we're gonna try more free-to-play gameplay by me, and of course we are going to use 4 archer lineups together, so in order for us to understand why I like so much the support gameplay with Indis and Tarra. Basically, you know that Kinara and Nico is like one of my first awakened heroes, especially Kinara. Nico is close to 5-4-4-3. Craig and Thea, of course, my Craig is awakened. Thea is 5-4-2-3 with Nitroc and Shadow Blades. The third one is Indis and Tarra. Indis is awakened, Tarra is awakened. Fang of Ashkari because I want them to be more alive during the fight. And of course, last hero pair, the strongest hero pair which I currently have, Magrot and Zaida, 5-5-5-1, 5-3-3-4. Let's see how well we are going to compete against tier 5 players. It will be really interesting for myself also, right? Because whenever you are playing Call of Dragons, you are trying to progress through the gameplay of the game, try to be stronger in order for you to get more merits, right? So far this season I was able to get 4.2 million merits, generally fighting mainly against tier 5 players. And of course, right now, like every single fight, we are expecting yellow merits with every single legion. Of course, the idea behind Indis and Tarra is that I want to use every single buff, especially the buff of the Tarra, which is from the second skill, which gonna give us 15% more physical attack, especially for all of our friendly legions, right? It's also a matter of fact that it can also buff to your alliance members. If the buff didn't really hit you, at least you're gonna buff your alliance members, right? Which means for tier 5 player, 15% more physical attack and 10% damage reduction is quite good, right? And finally we are able to fight. We can actually push because I can see that we have a Miasma Giant near, so we will be able to deal some damage, right? Of course, we're gonna try to get some yellow merits, that's always the goal, but generally that's not really easy, simply because there is a lot of tier 5 players around us, and you guys know how hard it is for a free-to-play player to have a positive traits and not only to deal some damage, right? Because I think if we're gonna compare tier 4 troops to tier 5 troops, I think tier 5 troops are almost twice as good as tier 4. That's why you kinda have to understand how to fight against tier 5 players, and as always, I will try my best to showcase that fighting gameplay, which you might be interested, right? Because I think in any kingdom builder games, especially fighting games, the PvP gameplay is always the most important, because that's why you are spending, that's why you are strategizing your own gameplay, right? That's the reason why you want to be stronger, in order for you to be more important and more helpful during the fights. So far you can see we have only had the infantry players as our main damage dealing targets. Unfortunately, for archers without long range warfare, that's generally how it happens, right? You have only archers whenever you are fighting, and unfortunately your main target is always infantry players, right? And that's why whenever you are playing with archers without long range warfare, you kinda have to be super cautious, because, well, unfortunately enemy has a higher range, plus they have tier 5 players, and that's not really easy, right? That's not really easy. You need to understand how you can fight, so you will be able to stay alive longer. Because, well, I have said it many times during the PvP gameplay that staying alive is more rewarding in Call of Dragons than just dealing pure damage. Unfortunately, that's the way the game works, right? That's why I think having more survival hero pairs, that's why I actually really like the support gameplay, because heals for PvP is actually great, right? Unfortunately, this infantry player is helping us because, well, at least we have targets, right? Let's try to deal damage, let's try to use artifacts in this case, and, well, artifacts is like one of the another way how you can deal damage. Finally, it's kind of confirmed that artifacts can give us merits, and after that, well, it was pretty easy to understand how important the artifacts got in general. Unfortunately, I was not really able to get the guarded crossbow, which is like #1 choice for archers, especially for the merits, right? For the merits getting, I think guarded crossbow is the best artifact you can actually get. But unfortunately for a free-to-play player, it's not that easy, right? It's not that easy simply because, well, the most perfect way for players, free-to-play players, to get artifacts is, of course, Universal Artifact Compendium. But unfortunately, this season I'm not going to try my luck there because, well, I'm gonna try to make my tier 5 troops as fast as possible, and that's why I'm gonna send all of my gems which I have saved up towards treaties and arrows, right? And hopefully soon I will be able to showcase tier 5 gameplay, and I will be bragging about the merits which I will be getting with my archers, right? That's the goal. That's what I'm trying to do for a long time, and hopefully it will happen soon, right? And well, finally we have some targets. That's one good way of fighting, right? Well, unfortunately, without long-range warfare, you generally will have more targets as an infantry player, but we kind of have to still be happy, right? At least you are dealing damage, at least you are helping your ally members, and you are trying to get some merits, right? Of course, having 555 Magrot and Zaida actually helps a lot, but unfortunately, while being tier 4, it affects you a lot, right? Because every single time you're gonna deal damage to tier 5 players, well, you're gonna have a lot of counter-attack damage receiving back, right? I like that we managed to stay alive around a lot of tier 5 players, well, in front, in back, but I guess having a lot of behemoths around you and infantry players defending you, that's a great way to fight, right? Of course, right now, well, I have asked a lot of questions how you can generally get more merits in Call of Dragons, and well, my answer is really simple. One, you gotta stay alive. You should not really die in a couple of minutes. And second, the highest amount of merits you can get in Call of Dragons as an archer player is by dealing damage to mages, right? That's the general truth. I hope you guys understand it in a way that, well, for example, why you are getting low merits whenever you are dealing damage to infantry, because infantry is having highest armor. Why you are getting more merits whenever you are dealing damage to backline? Well, backline has generally lowest armor, so your archers will be dealing way more damage to mages, to archers, to, of course, infantry or cavalry, right? I think we are standing in a perfect spot here. We managed to deal damage to enemy archers, and I think that should be a quite a good amount of merits for ourselves. Unfortunately, these Goresh and Skogul, like, one unique thing about Goresh and Skogul, besides being really tanky, and besides being like super tanky, is that they are actually dealing quite a high amount of damage to the archers, or in general to ranged players, right? So basically, even if you are standing close to Goresh and Skogul, try to avoid them, because the splash damage which they are dealing damage is simply too high, right? Like, for example, here, Craig and the Kinara is low because, well, Goresh and Skogul splash damage is just too high, right? If you're gonna have Awakened Goresh and Skogul, well, I have had an arguments in my comment section regarding Dragonfall and Mogor, but actually I can't even compare how much better Goresh and Skogul is in terms of tankiness, in terms of PvP gameplay, and in general, right? Of course, the amazing skill of the Dragonfall, which gonna reduce the range attacks damage towards yourself, is pretty good skill to have, but actually, I really prefer having Goresh and Skogul if we're gonna compare it to other things, right? Yeah, I guess we are kind of sandwiched here, but fortunately or unfortunately, we are still dealing damage, right? Where you kind of have to always remember as an archer, especially if you are tier 5, right? If you are tier 5 archer, you kind of always have to remember that you deal a lot of counter-attack damage to enemies, right? Which means even if you are getting hit, you might take that hit depending on what's your troop count, how well and how much enemy is moving towards you, right? Because archer's counter-attack damage is one of the things which, well, some people always forget, right? Like, sometimes archer has the amount of counter-attack that you can't even deal damage like that, especially when you are tier 4, right? I think we are doing absolutely amazing, surviving the battlefield against tier 5 players for such a long time, as a 100% free-to-play player, it always makes me feel proud, right? And that's the way I think a game should be played, and I hopefully and I believe, guys, that you're gonna understand why I'm playing like this, why I'm trying to be more cautious, and so on, right? I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die really soon because I got really sandwiched by 2 cavalry legions, but I'm not actually sure why my Magrot and Zaida is not receiving any damage. Yeah, finally we got targets. Well, unfortunately, the cavalry players are always the smartest regarding the target choice. They understand why archers are generally the best choice in order for you to deal damage, right? Because yeah, you're gonna die fast from the cavalry, and yeah, I think in general this fight is pretty epic. You can see how many members are around, and of course our main enemy here is #1 alliance in the whole kingdom. And basically, yeah, like all the details about my KVK is already finished. We are not the ones who are going to win this KVK, but we will be the ones who will try to fight until the end, right? And generally you can see we have a quite high amount of merits if we're gonna compare to the other alliances, right? So basically, I was trying to explain how you can generally get high merits in Call of Dragons, right? You just gotta survive, and you just gotta be effective, and you just gotta choose which kind of targets you are going to pick, right? Right now, at first, let's check the hospital, because my hospital was empty, and I wanna see how much severely wounded troops we're gonna have, because we fought with 4 legions together, right? 200k, some might say it's a lot, some might say it's not. In my opinion, it's not, because I have 1 million troop, every single one which I'm fighting. Well, almost every single one, because soon I'm gonna get Wyvern Riders to 1 million, and I will have 1 million archers, 1 million mages, and 1 million Wyvern Riders, which is pretty good amount, right? Even if you are getting 200k severely wounded troops in your hospital by playing with the multiple archers against tier 5 players, that's, I think, generally is a good idea, right? And yeah, what's the most important here, we're gonna check how much merits we got from this fight, right? And first of all, as I have said it many times, Magrot and Zaida is the best merit getter hero pair in the game, and that's how we got 23.3k merits. Of course, as I have said it before, I will try my best to get yellow merits with every single legion. So basically 23k is the highest amount, and I'm pretty sure almost every single enemy which I clicked here is tier 5 player. The second is 9k, and I want to especially speak about Indis and Tarra, because we generally don't do damage with this hero pair, right? We just give buffs, we just give debuffs, and we just heal. So the simple fact that we got almost 10k merits from Indis and Tarra with the support gameplay is already amazing, right? The third one, which is Nico and Kinara, my first ever legendary hero which I have awakened is Kinara, and 30k merits. Yeah, unfortunately the archer hero pairs which doesn't really have healing, they are lacking survivability around the battlefield. That's why I'm trying to make a plan how I'm gonna heal all of my archers together so they will stay alive longer, right? The simple fact how Craig and Thea got more merits is that Thea gives us a lot of survivability, lot of shields, and Craig can deal damage to multiple targets. So I think these 3 and these 4 merits is quite cool, right? I would say all of them did pretty well, but of course 23k merits against tier 5 players, it's quite a good result, right? And yeah, as I have said it before, I'm moving towards to the tier 5. Well, I need like 10k more gems, and I will finish Rally Drum to 25, and finally I will able to showcase free-to-play tier 5 gameplay, which I have been trying to get. Actually, it have not been my main priority. I always wanted to be strong enough to fight, but this KVK, my best idea and my best way of playing would be to get to tier 5 as fast as possible. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay of Call of Dragons. I think the most perfect videos are made whenever you are fighting in Call of Dragons, right? Because this game has the best Kingdom Builder PvP gameplay ever, which I have ever seen. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. If you did, press like, subscribe, share. It always gives me more and more motivation to make more content for this game. I wish everybody amazing day, morning and night. We are going to see each other really soon. Bye bye and good luck.